Boom. This is my ZMR180 frame, and it is a fast. This is running 5-inch propellers and 2633 kV motors, which is not focusing. There we go, 2633 kV motors. The only problem with this is you can't run it in a race where they require less than 200 millimeter size, which is where this comes in. This is the Diatone ZMR180 frame. This is a little bit different than the other one in that it includes some feed on it and a camera mount and a power distribution board. So I'm going to go ahead and get this opened up and we'll take a look at it. So here are the parts that are all included. First of all, you get this power distribution board, and the power distribution board comes with a little bag of goodies inside to help with mounting it. And this is the power distribution board that has a 12-volt output and a 5-volt output, and this says it's a version 5, but I'm pretty sure this is actually a version 7 power distribution board. Anyway, it also has the it only has a single main plate here, and you can see it's actually pretty thick, which is good because I never really liked the ZMR having 2 plates just because it made it a little bit harder to put together. Also has the top plate, arms, and this is a camera mount for a camera with a small camera lens, and you can't see it in there very well. I'll get that open in a minute. It also has screws for putting it together and nuts for holding the arms onto the body and the plastic spacers. And these are what I was talking about, a little bit unique. They have these that go on the ends of the arms, and the motor screws go through this and will go through here into here, and what that does is it just gives you a little bit of built-in landing gear out on the arms. I know some people started building landing gear for their ZMR180 frames, and they had it in the middle, and the problem is it kind of gets top heavy and it kind of falls over to the side, but you won't have that problem if you use these kind of landing gear. So this main plate here measures in at a whopping 3 millimeters, which is pretty thick for a 180. The upper plate here comes in about 2 millimeters, and the arms look like they're about 3 also. Yep, 3 millimeters. So here's the camera mount, and you can see it's real small, and it comes with all the screws and bolts and nuts that you need to put the camera together and attach it to the frame. And it's designed to use with cameras like this. This is a very small camera, and I have yet to use this, so I'm anxious to see how this actually works. The one neat thing about this is this little round thing here is the microphone. So if you hook up the white wire to your video transmitter, it will send the audio back down to your goggles or whatever else you're transmitting with, and if you record audio, then you'll actually hear the noise from the quadcopter, which is kind of cool. So here's the camera, and it weighs in about 3.3 grams. The camera's not included with the quad, but I'm probably going to end up building this quad out, so I'm going to go ahead and put it into the frame and weigh it with the frame later. So this is what the camera looks like mounted inside of its little bracket here, and you can see the microphone gets bent back a little bit, but it's okay, it'll take it. And this allows you to mount this, and then you can tilt it back so you can get a better angle on your quadcopter. And the nice thing is, since it's just put together with this little screwdriver here, you can actually loosen this or just push it at the flying field and adjust your angle while you're there, and which is a big difference than the way I've been doing it with hot glue. So here's the power board mounted in here, and what I did is I ran the included screws up from the bottom and threw a couple little rubber spacers through the power distribution board, and then put the nylon spacers up here with the nuts up on the very top, and that allows for a place for your CC3D or your Naze 32 to mount in there, and the nuts will hold it down in place. And when you mount this, you want to make sure you have your battery connection here pointed toward the direction that the battery cable is going to be coming from. In this case, I'll be running it from the back into here, and then all of these corners, all 4 corners, have a positive and negative on each corner for your ESCs to connect to, which is nice since you're not running your power to one side and your ground to the other side and making all these crosses inside your power distribution board. It's nice because they're all here on the edges. It also has a positive and negative here, which I would assume is for some kind of battery voltage monitor. Then on the side here, it has a video transmitter, a camera, and some other 12-volt and 5-volt outputs there if you need those for anything. But that's how it looks like this, and let me go ahead and get the rest of it put on and we'll see how much it weighs. So here it is fully assembled, except for the plastic things here on the arms because you have to have motors to mount them, and I don't have any yet. But these have enough space on the bottom to make, you know, plenty of room for landing and not scratching up the belly of the quadcopter. The camera is also in a position to where it can angle back almost completely to 90 degrees, which is good for fast flyers. If you're one of them, then kudos to you. It also, in true Diatone fashion, comes with plenty of extra little rubber spacers, 3mm screws, a few extra nylon pieces, and it also includes these smaller screws, which are, I would assume, are for mounting your motors onto your arms, like 1306 or 1806 motors. So here's the quadcopter fully assembled with the landing gear just sitting up on top, and if we weigh it, it comes in at 116.4 grams. And that's also including the camera here, just because you're probably going to be flying with the camera, and if you don't like this weight, you can just make this 113.1 without the camera, if you're going to use a different camera. The 180 part of the ZMR180 name refers to the length in millimeters between arms crossing. So if I line this one up near 0, that's pretty close. If I line this one up here, it comes in about 183, 182. So that is very good for a 180 size frame. And there's different ways of measuring it. Some people say measure the inside, but really I think you're supposed to measure the center of the motor to the center of the motor. And maybe you could fudge the motors a little closer together to make it actually a true 180 if you're really concerned with the 2 millimeters of difference. Let's see, the top of this quad, it has these spaces here where you can run your battery strap through here, so you can tie it down up on top without having to go around the outside. I like that because it keeps the battery strap from sliding too far forward or too far back inside the frame here. It also has a hole back here in the back where you can mount your antenna through here. A lot of people have problems with the antenna grounding out. Well, that's usually because your motor screws are too long and it's grounding to the little windings inside the motor. If you're if you're touching the motor wires inside the windings, don't do it. Put some washers in the screws to pull them back a little bit so they don't do that. Now you do need to make sure they actually have enough thread on them into the motor, because I've had it before where the whole motor comes off and all 4 screws are gone, and I know they were there before I started. Looks like you have plenty of space inside here for your NAS 32 or your CC3D pins to fit in here without any problem. And you should have enough space up here in the front for your video transmitter or your receiver for your control, and then plenty of space back here for your video transmitter to go. If you wanted your receiver to go back here too, you'd have plenty of room. You could take these nuts here and turn them around and put them on the bottom, and that would free up a little bit more space inside there too. The only bad thing is it wouldn't look as cool on the outside, seeing how it's mostly black. Oh yeah, and also the camera actually mounted on here using these 4 tiny screws and 4 lock nuts on the bottom. So here's the ZMR180 next to the Lizard 180. One difference you can immediately notice is how much more surface area this has sticking outside of the frame. Now all this is just going to help create drag, which is not really what you want if you're trying to go fast. If we look at these a little bit closer together here, you can see the top plate on the 180 is 2mm, whereas the one on the Lizard 180 is 1mm. Also, the ZMR 180 has a 3mm bottom plate, whereas this one's 2.5. One of this frame's greatest strengths are these bottom plates being 3mm. It's going to be very hard for you to crash this and break one of these arms, because it's just not a lot of mass that's going to be hanging off of these arms here. And they're also kind of short, so you don't get a lot of leverage either. So you can't fly a Diatone frame without using Diatone props. These are 40-45 props, and looks like this. They're bullnose, so they got plenty of meat on them to help grab wind and give you a little bit more torque. And if I line this up here, you can see it's clearing everything inside with no problem. I don't got that angled very well, but you can see it's clearing anything, and it's clearing everything inside there. Same thing here on the front, and they pass by each other just fine front to back. The motor hole pattern on this is set up for 1806 or 1306 motors. Now if you're going to run 1306 motors, you're probably going to want to run something with 4000 kV or better, just because they're going to have a little bit harder time spinning these 4-inch props. They can do it just fine, and I don't want to sound like they can't, but they can spin 4-inch props pretty well. You just want a higher kV. If you're going to use 1806 motors, you're going to want something with like 2700 kV or better. 2700 will spin this real fast, and the 1806 motors will actually spin this a little bit stronger than a 1306 motor. even though 1306 motor has a higher kV. But the 1306 motor is stronger, so hopefully it'll reach the full 2700 kV. If you're going to run 2300 kV on these, it'll fly okay, but you just won't be real impressed with the power, especially if you watch some flying videos where other people are flying them line of sight and recording them line of sight, and you just see them zip out of the frame so fast. So here's the ZMR180 and the ZMR250, and this thing makes it look like a giant compared to this. This is the ZMR180. If you didn't know, Diatone has a new reseller in the United States, and their website is diatoneusa.com, and they sell this quadcopter and the camera and the propellers in this video. And if you are buying from them, they ship out of Alabama, and you can usually get your order within just a few days of ordering it, which is kind of nice. Also, these things are for sale at Banggood, and they're a great deal there too. But anyway, if you have any questions about this, leave them in the comments, and I'll try to help you out as best I can. And as always, thanks for watching.